Hey everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about how you need to ask yourself, are you practicing your craft enough? And for me, being in sales and real estate, that means like script practice. I have been practicing scripts with a friend recently. He's actually my accountability partner in Dallas. He's got a startup he's working on, like in terms of the energy brokerage side, but he also has his real estate license, and a lot of those things are complementary because you could sell someone a house and then send them an energy referral, and it's kind of like an affiliate commission type thing. But he's building a platform that does all this cool stuff and it automates all that portion for people to find the best rates, and he can get paid out those commissions once they sign up for a plan and whatnot. But we've been doing script practice twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays on Zoom, and we'll share screens. And what we did recently was I pulled up some objections that we commonly get in real estate, or that are most common according to a couple of websites. And I zoomed down, or I scrolled down only enough to see at the very bottom of the screen, we could see the top, which was the question. And the question would say like, oh, I don't know, can I see, these houses as well? Or like, I think I might want to wait. Like, how do you handle those objections? And so first we'd read the question, and then I would ask him, or he would ask me like, hey, how would you answer it? You go first. And I would try to say something. He would try to say something like, hey, so, you could wait, but it just, depends on what's more important to you. Are you willing to lose that house that you really love, that you're ready to move on right now and that you're pre-qualified for? Or would you rather wait for 5 months and possibly lose this house and have to start from scratch, maybe renew the lease and then, pay rent for another year? So I might say something like that. He might have something else that he says. And then together we scroll down on the page while I'm sharing my screen. He can see it. And we review the answers that the website was saying. And this might be a blogger or some kind of real estate page. So sometimes their way of answering those, we'd be like, that's corny, or I don't think that would work. That sounds bad. But sometimes they'd be great. And I'm like, oh, I like what they said here. We should try to incorporate that. So we're practicing. We're actually stimulating our mind in a bit, because we're not just reading the answer. We're trying to come up with something on the fly that makes sense. And then we're reviewing what the site says, just to make sure that we're always on the top of our toes, or on the tips of our toes with our clients. Because on every transaction, if you're in sales, you're going to have a bunch of objections. I'm not ready right now. I need a decision maker. My wife's not here. My husband's not here. Whatever the objection is, you're going to have to know how to handle it. And you're going to get a bunch of different ones from different people. People who are more cautious might need some time to review the numbers. People who are ready to go may need approval from a partner. But at the end of the day, and what I've heard from doing things like Cardone University before, my last role at an investment real estate company, I remember a lot of the objection handlers was like maybe 15 or 20 of the same objections that you get if you sell cars or if you sell real estate. Like, you're going to get 10 to 15, maybe somewhere around there. Those are going to be the most common objections that you hear all the time from every client. Questions that come up repeatedly. And yeah, you may have those little one-offs like that don't even make sense. Like, that's not even a real objection, but you're going to get a bunch of these that become a trend. And if you actually write them down or note them down, or maybe every time you hear an objection, note it down and actually practice that with your script partner on the next script practice. So we've been doing that, where I think of objections that I've recently heard. So maybe we do our script practice on Monday. I have an appointment on Tuesday. I get an objection that kind of stumbles me, and I'm good at coming up with an answer and just at least filling the silence with words that make sense and are coherent. But sometimes I ramble a little bit, whereas if I had the right answer or objection handler and I could say it in 1 or 2 sentences and really make it stick, that would be ideal, instead of just rambling for 3 or 4 sentences that kind of answer the question but maybe make them more confused. You know what I'm saying here? So say an objection comes up that kind of stumps me on Tuesday, and then we do our script practice on Wednesday. I would ask my friend, hey, so this is an objection I got. I kind of said this, but they still weren't really sure. How would you have handled that? And so hindsight's 2020. You can think of all these things you could have said during that time, and obviously the time's passed. But the idea is that if you're in this business, if you're in a business that you're going to be dealing with a lot of the same objections, if you learn the proper answer in response to that objection or question and you practice it, the next time it comes up, you're not going to stumble again. You're going to know the answer to it. And so that is the value of script practice or practicing your craft enough. I think it's Malcolm Gladwell that talks about the 10,000 hour rule. You've got to practice your craft and do 10,000 hours of work on something before you become an expert. And I think that equates to about 5 years on average, if I remember correctly from whatever book it was from, Outliers, I think. So 5 years or 10,000 hours of time dedicated to a craft to become an expert at that thing. And so if you just continue to focus and practice and chip away, you're going to get better. And you actually have to go through the motions and do this stuff. I can't just sit there and think about like, oh, the perfect workout, how would it look? What would I do? And expect to get into shape. I've got to actually pack my gym bag and go to the gym and pick up the weights and sweat a little bit. And, all that stuff that has to actually happen in order for me to see the results. And so that's what I want to challenge you on today, to truly ask yourself deep down, are you really practicing your craft enough? Are you possibly the salesperson who's just going with the flow and kind of like, you're good with people? I'm talking about myself here. You're good with people. Like I'm great at making friends and stuff, but you kind of fly by the seam of your pants or whatever, however that saying goes. And you get a bunch of objections and you kind of say, don't worry about it. It'll all be okay. For a person who's more cautious and more detail oriented, they don't like that answer. They don't care that you're trying to make them feel good. They want to see the numbers and the data. They want to know the true answer that will put them at ease to make that decision and move forward. And so you need to make sure you're actually practicing your craft enough. And if you're not, I highly recommend an accountability partner, better yet, a script practice partner if you can in your industry, in the same space, or maybe even with another entrepreneur that you know. Like pitch your business, have them pitch their business, come up with the flaws in their argument or the holes in their pitch and help them plug those things up, because that's the only way you're going to get used to this. You can't just practice your scripts and answer objections when you're sitting there in front of the client that you're trying to sell. It's not going to always go well. You may have a couple of good runs, but you're probably going to lose some good prospects just because you weren't prepared to say the right words. And so make sure to get that practice in. I'm doing 2 days a week right now for an hour each day. I think some of the top people in my field probably do like 30 minutes every single weekday morning to an hour of script practice. I'm just happy that I started doing it because I know I've been needing to do it and I hadn't done it for like a whole year. I was just kind of going with the flow. And so now I'm starting to incorporate those things into my business as well. So I hope that was helpful for you. Let me know, reach out, shoot me a DM on Instagram, chrisbello09. Let me know, like, what are you guys up to? Do script practice? Is there anything else that you found helpful? Do you listen to negotiations or scripts or record conversations and listen back later to practice? Please let me know, because I'd love to hear what you do. And I'm always looking for new tips on how to improve what I'm doing. So with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Continue to kick butt in everything that you're doing. And I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe with all the craziness continuing to go on. And I'll catch you on the next episode of the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. Thanks and talk soon. Bye.